January 7, 1943, Nikola Tesla died. Out of all the intervening years, instead of deciming his reputation, have steadily increased. This starving American inventor was a wonderful and pastorally citizen who, thanks to his inventions, became the backbone of power generation and mass communication system of modern times. His enemy and former boss, the American Thomas Edison, was the inventor of light bulb, phonograph, and moving picture. Edison, almost without exception, is always remembered for his material evils and spiritual torments to Nikola Tesla. But remember Edison only for his strange and interest-based relationship with Tesla will be ignore what he has added to humanity. Although we also curse him internally for cutting Tesla off and giving him almost nothing he deserves. Restoring an analysis about Edison to just this point will cause a biased analysis. These different geniuses were engaged in a war in the 1990s. Our whole world light up the world. Tesla's alternate current system versus Edison's direct current system. Alternating current is an electric current that periodically changed direction and was popularized by Nikola Tesla. Direct current, on the other hand, is an electric current flowing in only one direction. Alternating current today is the type of current that makes it possible to transfer electrical power to homes and workplaces, as well as the operation of kitchen utensils, television, fans, and electric lamps. Direct current, on the other hand, is the type of current we see in electrical sources such as electrochemical batteries. Direct current is also widely used on railway tracks in cities. Alternating current can be converted into direct current by passing in through associated element called a rectifier. Direct current can also be converted into alternating current by passing in through associated element called an inverter. Among science lovers, the debate comparing Tesla and Edison to each other very heated. So much so that the topic has also been covered in many films. Tesla versus Edison. So, which was the better inventor? It's possible to study it from several different angles. Let's take a look at in which directions these two inventors who fought a duel passed each other, from their completely different personalities to their lasting legacies. The best businessman. In his 2019 book, Tesla, Inventor of the Electrical Age, published by Princeton Publishing House, Bernard Carlson summarizes the station as follows. They were different investors. You can say one is better than the other. The American community needs Edison's and it needs Tesla's. This sentence is about being able to correspond to the type of person the capitalism expects. It's a consequence of the between idealism and realism. Thomas Edison had all the chaotic aspect of capitalist entrepreneur. He knew how to manage money. He knew how to manage people. He knew how to become a boss. But most of all, he knew how to make money, how to market products, how to communicate with people, be able to connect and network with the right people. This was putting him well beyond Tesla in terms of business success. Nikola Tesla, unlike some of the things written and drawn about him, was not shy or timid. It was indisputable that he had an unusual psychology, but he was someone who knew how to sit at the same table with many famous names, chat and participate in social environment. But his idealistic nature was incompatible with the realism of the business world. Therefore, he was behind Edison in matters such as money keeping, money making, marketing. And this in turn directly influenced how their success was received in business. Edison was able to be much more realistic and natural part of this world than Tesla, because the business world keeps the product, profit, income, and profits on hand. This in turn led to an exponential increase in the success. From this point of view, it can be said that Edison is a much more successful businessman than Tesla. The smartest. There is only a single and easy way to measure intelligence, and it is impossible for us to touch on all possible types of intelligence here. After all, we do not have the test results of both geniuses according to different types of intelligence, and what can be said about its application may not exist beyond. but one of the uses associated with science with analytic intelligence is the able to remember. From this point of view, Tesla had a very powerful visual memory. He was able to remember images and objects almost completely with all their outlines. This feature allowed him to visual 3D and complex objects in his eyes. As a result, using only a few sketching drawings, the employee was able to make prototypes of engineering products. In Carlson's words, he was developing his inventions not on paper, but in his imagination. On the contrary, Edison was more of draftsman and craftsman. Carlson said that if you went his lab to watch Edison, you would find dozens of cables, coils, and various parts related to his inventions on his workbench. He literally had the air of messy engineer. Of course, we cannot measure intelligence only by memory. We know that education has a big role to play in this. However, Thomas Edison never went to college and was self-taught. Nikola Tesla, on the other hand, was going to Grace University of Technology, but dropped out before finishing school. Therefore, we cannot use academic success as a strong illustration either. Maybe we can use the success of seeing the future and the success of being able to create solutions in the face of problems as an extension of it as a yardstick in this regard. However, this will also cause a rather subjective comparison, because Nikola Tesla was someone who didn't hold back from going where his imagination took him, who risked spending all this money that existed on this path, while Thomas Edison had rather chosen to pursue the wisest investments. From this point of view, one of the can be seen as most intelligent names of their field in terms of business success, the other in terms of vision. Most productive. It also difficult to objectively measure productivity, although it may not always be very meaningful. One of most object measures of this number of patents. The average number of patents per inventor worldwide is 3. Inventors who can exceed 15 patents are considered productive. The number of people with more than 200 patents is 150, while the number of people with more than 15 patents can be expressed in tens of thousands. Although Edison is maintained by many sources as the world's most patent inventor, a more detailed analysis may be required because the way that he counts in may vary. According to Thomas Edison National Historic Park, there are 1,093 patent families owned by Thomas Edison. Of these, 1,084 are alleged patents and 9 are design patents. As of 2020, the Japanese inventor Shanpai Yamazaki holds 5,705 patents and holds many more patents than Edison. Tesla, on the other hand, was sixth in 26, according to a study published at the International Nikola Tesla Symposium. He had been able to collect fewer than 300 patents worldwide. Tesla cannot be among the top people with the most patents in the world with these patents. Of course, Edison received much more help from assistants than Tesla, and also bought some of the Tesla's patents himself, printing them on his behalf. Our entire mass communication system is based on Tesla's system. Unfortunately, Tesla's big plans is the financial baker JP Morgan has failed, tired of years of fiasco. The greatest impact. Edison's lasting legacy was not a special patent or technology, but the inventions factors he developed. Edison had managed to break the innovation process into small pieces, and each piece was maintained by a large number of workers. For example, after a conversation with the photographer Edward Muybridge, Edison came up with the idea of creating a moving picture camera. But instead of pursuing the idea himself, he left the experimental and prototype work that would make his technology possible to his assistant William Dixon and others. Edison, who developed many patents and inventions of parallel, allowed his assistants to have financial stability and be able to put forward more designs. Tesla's inventions are the backbone of modern powered communication system. But while inventions have been lost in history, he also 20th. In the 20th century it was plunged into darkness, and despite dozens of patents and inventions, when he died in 1943, he was in an extremely miserable state. As a result, it seems unlikely that an eventual decider between these two figures will be declared by historians of science. It will seem that which of these two geniuses you sympathize with, but rather your worldview is shaped by how much you care about the walls of capitalism and what technologies you are interested in. Both of them have changed the course of mankind and therefore deserve to be declared among the most important investors in history of sciences.